Welcome! This video contains optional light exercise prompts. As with all exercise activities, ensure that healthcare professionals have cleared the members of your group to participate. Greetings from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The city of Philadelphia stretches for miles in every direction. Like many major cities, there are skyscrapers, bridges spanning rivers, and expressways and train tracks weaving in and around the landscape. In the previous Activity Connection interactive video, Philadelphia, Then and Now, we traveled to 7 major tourist destinations, primarily located at or near Penn's Landing along the Delaware River and Market East. In this video, we will travel to Independence Mall and Old City, which are part of what is considered to be America's most historic square mile. Welcome to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Part 2, America's most historic square mile. Brought to you by Activity Connection. The foundations of Philadelphia and all of the United States are rooted in Independence Mall and Old City. Many of Philadelphia's most significant historical moments occurred in this area between 1765 and 1800. Our first stop today is Independence Hall and Congress Hall. At the time of construction, this was one of the most impressive buildings in all of the existing 13 colonies. In addition to its size, look at the ornate designs along the ceiling and staircase. This building is the site of many historic events, including the drafting and signing of several important documents. Through this doorway is an important room, the Assembly Room. Amidst these simple desks and chairs of the Assembly Room, delegates of the Continental Congress debated and signed the new nation's Declaration of Independence, in which they proclaimed America's freedom from the British Empire. 11 years later, in 1787, delegates from all over the United States came to Philadelphia to draft and sign the Constitution within this room as well. The chair used by George Washington during the 1787 Constitutional Convention is located in the center of the screen. Here's a closer look at the chair as well as the carved design, which depicts a symbolic sun rising over the new nation. Our first optional light exercise activity is inspired by the rising sun. Sit up tall and straight in your chair, with knees shoulder-width apart. Hold your arms outstretched in front of your body in a circle, as if you are holding a large beach ball. Now, slowly raise your circular arms above your head. Maintain good posture as you slowly return your arms to your lap. Repeat if desired. Just a few steps away is Congress Hall. This served as the meeting place of the U.S. Congress from 1790 to 1800. The House of Representatives met on the main floor, while the Senate assembled upstairs. While sitting or standing, step in place as we ascend the same staircase that many of our founding fathers climbed. Did you know that the capital of the United States has not always been Washington, D.C.? Philadelphia served as the temporary capital of the United States when the new capital was under construction. During the 10 years it served as the capital, this building witnessed many historic events, including the admittance of 3 new states and the ratification of the U.S. Bill of Rights. We made it. Take a moment to admire the decorative ceiling of the Senate chamber of Congress Hall. This plaster medallion on the ceiling adds an elegant touch. 13 stars honor the original 13 states. Group activity. How many of the original 13 states can you name? Pause video if you would like to discuss. Answer in order of ratification: Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maryland, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Virginia, New York, North Carolina, and Rhode Island. How many of these states have you lived in? Which ones? Alternate question: how many of these states have you visited? Pause video if you would like to discuss. A fresco of an American bald eagle also decorates this room. Many symbolic elements are included in this design, much more than meets the eye. We can see these important details more clearly by examining the Great Seal of the United States. The Great Seal appears on the reverse side of common U.S. currency. But which bill? Do you recognize it from the reverse side of a $1, $5, $10, or $20 bill? Pause video if you would like to discuss. Answer: the U.S. Great Seal appears on the reverse side of a $1 bill. On the very day of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, the task of creating an appropriate coat of arms for the United States began. After much deliberation, the main feature of the Great Seal is an American bald eagle with raised wings. Notice what is held in the eagle's talons. On one side, the eagle clutches a bundle of 13 arrows, referring to the 13 original states and their preparedness for defense. The other talon holds an olive branch. Question: do you know what olive branches symbolize? Pause video if you would like to discuss. Answer: the olive branch is a symbol for peace. Take a moment to reach as high as you can to pick an olive off a branch. Alternate hands as you reach up high to pick 12 more, so we have 13 total. It's time to continue on, even though the facts we reviewed are just the tip of the iceberg. There are many more symbols within currency, and once you know the significance, you may never look at money the same way. Whether you are in the US, Canada, or beyond, take some time to learn about the currency in your area. If this is an area of interest, raise your hand. Perhaps you can plan an upcoming activity to explore this further. Here we are, back in the Senate chambers. It was here in 1793 when President George Washington was sworn in for his second term. Let's return to the main floor where the House of Representatives met to learn more about the second inauguration that occurred here. After serving 2 terms as president, 8 years total, President Washington made it known that he would not seek a third term. During the first 2-party election in U.S. history, Federalist John Adams defeated Democratic-Republican Thomas Jefferson. On March 4, 1797, John Adams took the oath of office in the House chamber, pictured here. George Washington was now a private citizen. This peaceful transfer of power was an extremely significant event for the young nation. This bell, which originally rang in the Tower of Independence Hall, is currently housed in Liberty Bell Center, which is just across the street. Liberty Bell Center. Originally named the State House Bell, it rang to call lawmakers to their meetings and the townspeople together to hear the reading of the news. No one recorded when or why the bell first cracked. Unfortunately, the repair was not successful. Later, a second crack silenced the bell forever. You are about to hear a simulation of how the bell sounded. Here is an optional light exercise prompt. While seated, complete a modified jumping jack for each strike of the bell. The bell will ring 9 times. Begin with your feet together and arms near your sides. Clap your hands above your head as you spread your feet apart. Repeat 9 times, or as many times as is comfortable. Here we go. Over the decades, many groups have celebrated the Liberty Bell as a symbol of liberty, equality, and unalienable rights. Even though the bell is silent, in a way it is still screaming the inscription, "Proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof." Just a few blocks away, we'll find the birthplace of another iconic emblem, the American flag. Betsy Ross House. One of Philadelphia's most visited historic sites is a simple colonial home where Quaker upholsterer Betsy Ross is said to have sewn the first American flag. As we explore the small rooms of the row house that Betsy rented, imagine what life was like. The home is decorated with period antiques and is alive with the sights and sounds of the 18th century. Here is a look at a historical actress portraying Betsy Ross in her upholstery shop.
I find this house very comfortable to live in as a widow with no children. But if I were to marry a second time and start a family, it might be nice to rent a whole house again. I find my work to be enjoyable. It is hard work though. Like most artisans, I work 6 days a week, sun up to sundown in my shop. It's usually about 12 to 15-hour days.
Upstairs, there are 2 bedrooms. Here is a look at the room where Betsy Ross was said to have sewn the first flag. But why would she sew in the bedroom when there is an upholstery shop downstairs? Pause video if you would like to discuss. Answer: at that time, making flags for the new nation was a dangerous job. If the British soldiers found out, Betsy could have been charged with treason and sent to prison. She had to do this work in a private place. In a boarding house full of many people, the bedroom was probably the safest option. Here is a look at the second bedroom. What are some differences that you notice between life in the 1770s and today? Pause video if you would like to discuss. Possible answers include writing with quill and ink, candles for lighting, chamber pots instead of toilets. Now that we have been reminded of life back in the day, let's stroll down Elfreth's Alley, a historic street in Philadelphia that is referred to as our nation's oldest residential street. Beginning in 1720, a blacksmith named Jeremiah Elfreth built and rented out some of the first homes along this small cobblestone street. Over the years, grocers, shoemakers, cabinet makers, tailors, and others worked out of the first floor of the 32 homes along Elfreth's Alley. Over 300 years later, the houses are still desirable property, but today they are entirely residential. Though they are small compared to modern standards, during the 18th century, it was not uncommon for a few families, 10 or more people, to share a small home. Imagine that. While sitting or standing, knock loudly on each of the doors we pass. Alternate hands so both arms get a workout. Now, while sitting or standing, step in place as we follow in the footsteps of a very famous resident of Philadelphia. Benjamin Franklin walked to and from his house and print shop through this very same passage for many years. Franklin Court. Though his original home and print shop are no longer standing, an outline of where these buildings used to stand has been constructed out of steel framework. In addition to being considered one of America's founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin wore many hats. He was a printer, inventor, author, philosopher, and postmaster. Franklin moved to Philadelphia in 1723. He established a successful printing business, as well as the first library and fire department in the city. Franklin also founded the University of Pennsylvania and the Pennsylvania Hospital. He helped draft the Declaration of Independence, and in 1787, he signed the U.S. Constitution. Let's learn more about the printing process that Benjamin Franklin and others used in the 18th century. Benjamin Franklin celebrated the power of the press in spreading new thoughts and ideas. A ranger is providing the demonstration for us.
That's where you get all your letters. Capital letters, where are the capitals going to be? Upper or lowercase? What's another word for capital letters?
Answer: uppercase.
That's why the capitals are kept there. You'd work over there, and you'd pull the letters out into the composing stick, and then you kind of lay that out, sentence by sentence. And notice how it's upside down and backwards. That's what? Ink, paper. Press. See what I did there? Now we got to do this one more time. Press. And then we are going to roll that out. And there you go. We got big breaking news. Do you know what that is? This is, of course, just the Declaration. And this was a poster. That's how you got the word out. You couldn't text someone. You couldn't tweet the Declaration. But you could print it, and you're going to tell people, hey, we're independent. So then I got to hang it up because the ink and the paper are wet. But this was the kind of work then get all the way up into the 70s and 80s.
We have mentioned only a few of Franklin's many accomplishments. Do you recognize any of Benjamin Franklin's other innovative contributions? Electricity, lightning rod. Benjamin Franklin's electrical experiments led to the invention of the lightning rod to protect people and buildings from fire damage. Reacher. Benjamin Franklin was actually on the tall side for a founding father, so he was not someone you would expect to invent a reaching device. But by late adulthood, his floor-to-ceiling bookshelves were jam-packed. To reach the top shelves without using a stepladder, Franklin fashioned a long arm in his workshop. It was simply a piece of wood with 2 fingers mounted on the end. By pulling on a cable, Franklin could bring the fingers together to grip a book off a high shelf. Although they're rarely seen in libraries, versions of the long arm remain popular among anybody needing a longer reach. Bifocals. As he reached old age, Benjamin Franklin found himself becoming both nearsighted and farsighted. Outdoors, he needed a set of long-distance lenses to see where he was going. But when he examined something up close, he would need to swap for a pair with different lenses. It quickly became a frustrating ritual, so Franklin simply cut the 2 glasses in half and joined them together in one frame. Aside from a few improvements, Franklin's original bifocal design has remained unchanged until modern times. Poor Richard's Almanac. In 1773, Benjamin Franklin started publishing Poor Richard's Almanac. Almanacs of the era were printed annually and contained things like weather reports, recipes, predictions, and homilies. Franklin published his almanac under the guise of a man named Richard Saunders. This almanac was distinguished from others by Franklin's talented writing. Can you complete the following famous sayings? A penny saved is a penny. Answer: a penny saved is a penny earned. Honesty is the best. Answer: honesty is the best policy. Never leave to tomorrow what you can do. Answer: never leave to tomorrow what you can do today. Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, blank, and blank. Answer: early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Benjamin Franklin is a prominent figure in American history, comparable to Washington, Jefferson, and Lincoln. His tremendous influence on the early history of the nation led to him being humorously described as the only president of the United States who was never President of the United States. Let's close with some timeless advice from Benjamin Franklin. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Thank you for joining us for this educational interactive video experience. Coming up next are 4 review questions, followed by bonus footage of a lively reading of an excerpt from the Declaration of Independence. Review questions. How many states formed the original United States of America? A. 5, B. 12, C. 13. Answer: C. 13. What is the symbolic meaning of the olive branch? A. Prosperity, B. Peace, C. Liberty. Answer: B. Peace. In what room did Betsy Ross sew the first American flag? A. Cellar, B. Upholstery shop, C. Bedroom. Answer: C. Bedroom. Which 2 items did Benjamin Franklin invent? A. Reacher, B. Telegraph, C. Bifocals. Answers: A and C, Reacher and Bifocals. Thank you for joining us. See you again soon. Bonus footage. Up next is a lively 3-minute presentation of colonial commoners reading an excerpt of the Declaration of Independence. While the original document is faded, here is a reproduction. The excerpt from this performance begins.
These united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states.
That they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown.
That all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is
And ought to be totally dissolved. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other
our lives,
our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Attached to this document are the names of 56 men.
Collectively, we refer to them as the Founding Fathers.
We are not them.
the good couldn't be. We had a war to fight.
Children to raise.
Nation to begin.
Colonel Daniel Morgan, rifleman.
Oh, we are in the history books if you look hard enough.
We're here, Philadelphia, like water.
And our stories are as much a part of history as that noble declaration.
Patrick Lyon, immigrant blacksmith.
They are stories of struggle and triumph, of great sorrow and great joy.
Sergeant Joseph Plum Martin, Continental soldier.
They are not the big story.
Dolly Todd, bereaved widow and Quaker.
They are the stories that need to be told because
We
are not all Ben
Franklin.
we are common people just like you.
Common people whose uncommon stories gave birth to a nation.
And no matter what century we were born in,
We all have one thing in common.
We call America home.
And we all help to make history. Hip hip!